The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation, make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels, operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Seattle, Washington Fire Department, on your new fire apparatus, job number 33703. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Let's start down at the front bumper. On the passenger side, you'll find on the face a mechanical siren. Just inside of that location, you'll find dual air horns on the outer edge of the frame rail. Moving just inside of that location, you'll find 2 tow hooks tied to the front frame rail. And moving to the driver's side, you'll find your electronic speaker and siren. Moving to the outer edge, just to the rear section of the bumper area on the cab, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Up from that location, your side marker and turn indicator. Inside of that, the headlight structure housing the low and high beam, and then an emergency warning light forward facing just above that. At the very top, just under the windshield, you'll find 2 grab handles. As we move to the side of the apparatus, you'll find grab handles located at all points of entry for personnel, in addition with your latch, which is keyed. Moving up from that location, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light, and at the very top, you'll find a side-facing scene light. Moving now just to the forward section where the mirror is located, convex mirror on the lower portion and a flat mirror on the upper portion. And then on the passenger side, you'll also find a side-facing directional camera. Let's now take a look at a few close-ups that we just talked about. First, headlight structure, low and high beam. High beam is on the inside, low is on the outside. As we move to the face of the front bumper, you'll find a cover over your speaker, City of Seattle Fire Department. And as we move around to the door, you'll find your City of Seattle Fire Department on the door itself. And also just to the rear of that door, you'll find the outlet for your shoreline inlet. This is a receiving location for your plug. Just above that in the window, when plugged into shore power, your battery charging system will activate. And as we move to the rear cab wall of the apparatus, you'll find sufficient lights for your walkway, moving all the way up to the top. In addition, with lights at the top, you'll also have a smooth surface for riding on for your pump pressures. Let's now move around to the side of the apparatus. Midsection, you're going to find 4 crosslays located here, 2 of those which are dead loads and the other 2 are live. As we move now to the pump panel on the passenger side, we're going to find this warning label at the top, entanglement hazard, because of those hoses. Then you're also going to find a pressure hazard warning. And then on the 2 left and right sides, you'll find a fall warning label regarding not riding on the side of the apparatus and climbing on the side of the apparatus. You'll also find in the powered equipment rack area this danger label regarding utilizing the pinch possibility of that piece of equipment. On the left, you're going to find 2 pan doors. We'll talk about the items within those in just a few moments. There are 2 2.5-inch discharges located on this side, and then also your large diameter pump intake. As we move downward to the very bottom, you'll find a 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet. This is going to be a female inlet. Once again, this is your powered equipment rack. There are instructions here for raise and also lower. There is an on-off switch and then a raise and lower switch. As we look inside the pan door, this is going to be foam capabilities. These are for your inject and also calibration and flush. That's the red handle. Then as we look underneath there, you'll also find your foam drain located. Let's go ahead and move all the way further down. We will see where it tees down to the very bottom. This is your quarter turn foam drain. And then as we move back outside, you'll also see the officer side auxiliary inlet, 2.5-inch female inlet. Underneath that, you'll find all the associated color-coded and labeled drains for this side of the pump panel, and also at the very bottom for your deck gun and also officer side discharges. As we look at the through area for your crossway or walk location, there is storage underneath the passenger and driver side, and then there is also back access into the panel area. As we now start with the pump panel,
we're going to go ahead and start on the passenger side and work ourselves all the way across to the left. First, starting on the left with your master intake. This is once again on the driver's side main, and underneath it the bleeder line for that. There are also foam system instructions here for your Foam Pro pump system. They are located in this labeled area. As we move up to the blue module, this is going to be your Foam Pro module. This is a 2002 Foam Pro. Moving down from this location, you'll also find the Flow Minder Totalizer. The button just underneath, which we're highlighting right now, will give you the total flow. Let's move back up to the top where you'll find the red module. This is the amount of foam in your Class A foam tank. And then we're going to move further down from this location, get some close-ups in the next few images. Here are close-ups of the items that we just talked about. Let's go ahead now down to the discharge area first. Starting on the left-hand side of the discharges, you'll find the officer side, number 4, number 2, and large diameter, and then you'll also find the cross lay for the officer side. On the far right in pink, you'll find your deck gun, which does have a wheel valve at the very top. Moving now to your in-control FRC pressure throttle governor, starting in the upper left, pump discharge readout, and then below that you'll find your pump intake. As we move to the upper middle section, we're going to find a digital readout regarding the menu information. Just beneath that you have two options, either the pressure mode or throttle or RPM mode. Those are the two blue buttons just underneath that. Located in the center, you'll find a green indicator that the throttle is ready if illuminating. And then also just beneath that, you'll find the idle button, which is going to be red. And then to the right, you'll find a preset button. And then just at the very bottom is where you'll find your increase or decrease for pressure or throttle. Let's move to the opposite side now here, where you'll find at the very top it says RPM. This is a digital readout for your RPMs. Just down from that location, you'll find the gray silence button, which will silence the audible alarm down at the very bottom. The outer edge of that bezel will allow you to dampen the sound volume level. To the right in the blue section, this is your menu button, which allows you to scroll through the various menu functions. You do have two informational lights here. One, a check engine, if illuminated, would be amber, and a stop engine, which would be red. At the very bottom, you'll find engine diagnostic information. This is the audible alarm that I referred to earlier with the outer edge of the bezel being able to dampen the sound volume. We're now in the gray area, which is your engine information area. There are 4 gauges. First, oil, water, and volts and fuel in each corner. In the center, you'll find your tachometer. Located at the very top, you're going to find 3 warning information here: check engine, low fuel, and check transmission. If illuminated, they would be in red. You'll find the oil pressure, stop engine, battery, and also water temperature within the engine. Let's go ahead and move just to the right. You'll find additional gauges here: master intake and also the master discharge. These are analog gauges. As we move down between the 2 gauges, you'll find your test gauge ports. These are for vacuum and pressure. And then just beneath that, you're going to find the RPM counter. All 3 of these are currently capped. These would be utilized for testing purposes. Let's move to the right-hand side where you'll find the blue module, which is going to be your water level within inside the tank. Then we'll move to this placard, which happens to be your minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. On the left, you'll find the associated GPM, and on the right-hand side, you'll find the associated RPM with a governed speed of 2,400 RPMs. Let's move now to the right where you'll find your tank to pump and also your tank fill and recirculating line. Just underneath those 2 valves is where you'll find a warning label here, one for fall hazard and never ride on the vehicle when it's in motion. And then the other is going to be for only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment only after they've received proper training. As we move further to the right, you're going to find 4 additional discharge: driver's side crosslay, rear discharge, number 3, and number 1. The 2 in red, which will be water and foam capable, on the far left. You do have a protected switch here. This is for your emergency shutdown of your engine. And then as we move to the right, just slightly down beneath that, you'll find your primer and then some priming instructions just underneath that for best practices, at least 1,000 RPMs. At the very top, you'll find your engine cooler. It's a twist, not a pull. To the right, you'll find your thermal relief valve. When it's hot, the indicator will illuminate red. Just beneath that, you'll find your intake relief valve. This is adjustable. There's instructions on the actual placard itself. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll find an audible alarm. Once again, that outer edge of the bezel does allow you to dampen the sound. Here's some close-ups. Just wanted to point out the priming instructions at the very bottom for at least 1,000 RPMs. If you've exited the cab and your pump is properly engaged, you'll find the pump engaged green indicator. You'll also find you have panel lights, driver's side flood and passenger side flood, and also compartment lights. Moving to the right, you'll find the master intake valve. This is going to be for the driver's side, and then just beneath that, you'll find the air bleed. There are also scene lights located in this area, one on the passenger and then also one on the driver's side, easily adjustable by the operator up in the pump panel area. Let's take a look quickly to the very rear section. You'll find your master stream device. There is a wheel valve down at the lower section also. As we look to the rear of the apparatus, your hose bed is covered. It is a walkable surface, and you also have indicators indicating the edge of that walkway. Let's go ahead and move now down to the side of the apparatus at the pump panel area. You'll find first some warning labels here regarding fall, and riding on the side of the apparatus is not advised, in addition with a pressure hazard warning. We'll go ahead and go through the items here. First, let's start at the very top with two 2.5-inch discharges located on this side. As we move downward, you're going to find your large diameter pump intake, and then you'll also find the black handle, which is a twist. That's going to be your relief valve. Moving further down, you're going to find the 2.5-inch auxiliary female inlet, and then across the very bottom you'll find all your associated and color-coded drains. Let's move all the way to the very far right-hand side. This is going to be your pump drain. Let's go ahead and move back up to the left-hand side, the cab lift module. This is going to be some caution and also some danger labels here. This is a protected switch for raise and lower, and the activates on the far right. There are also cab lift operating instructions to raise the cab and to lower the cab on the placard. As we move down from this location, this is your master intake valve. To open, turn to the left, and to close, to turn to the right. As we move further down, you'll find your driver's side auxiliary inlet. This is a 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet. You'll also find all your color-coded and labeled drains across the very bottom of the pump panel area. Let's move to the far right-hand side of the pump panel. We're going to find the pump drain. And then as we move just up from this location, you'll find that pan door. This is where your manual pump shift is located just behind this. Let's go ahead and now move to the cross section. Just behind those cross lays, you'll find backboard storage. It is a latched compartment. As we move to this side, you'll also find your troughs for your corrugated drafting hoses. And then you'll also find two drop-down steps located on the sidewall. As we move around, also I'd like to point out that you have extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures. Be cautious where you park your vehicle. The exhaust tip is just down at the lower section here. As we move through the next images, these are going to be close-ups of the items that we just talked about. First, your air tank drains. There are three located at the very bottom. As we move just in front of the rear wheel, you'll find your magnet for your capture at source exhaust. And then as we move to the next compartment, you'll find dry deck material, LED lighting, and also adjustable shelving. You do have folding wheel chocks located just above the very hot sticker here, which is just above that pan door. In the center section is where you're going to find a long adjustable shelf and also dry deck material. In front of the rear tire is where you'll find your blue DEF cap. It is a 4.5 US gallon tank. And then to the rear, you'll find once again folding wheel chocks. And then in the compartment just down or beneath that, you'll find your ultra low sulfur diesel. This is the silver cap. As we move to the rear compartment, dry deck material once again, adjustable shelving, and LED lighting. You'll also find a portable light located within this compartment. Let's move around to the very rear section of the apparatus. We'll cover some of the items within that area. First, let's start with the brake, turn, reverse, and an emergency warning light. Those are both on the passenger and driver side. You'll also find two cupped switches here. We'll talk about those in a moment. You have some upper warning lights, a red and an amber. And then as we move to the very center, you'll find your traffic advisor located just in the midsection. Located just between those two, you'll find your backup camera. As we move upward from that location, you'll find a 2.5-inch rear discharge. And then as we move to the passenger side, you'll find a rear discharge also, large diameter. These are the two cup switches, first the deck lights and then the rear suspension dump. The rear suspension dump will allow you to dump the tailboard down so that you gain access to the tailboard and hose load. This is your driver's side rear. As we move to the other side, this is going to be the green officer side rear large diameter discharge. You also have a compartment storage located in this area with dry deck material, and at the very bottom you'll find your two doors open up, gaining access to the lower compartment. As we move to the very top, you'll find two rear-facing scene lights. They are adjustable. And then as we move to the very top section, you'll find sufficient grab handles for going aloft to gain access into the hose area. Let's move around to the passenger side, where you'll find a 24-foot extension ladder and then also a 14-foot roof. Above that, you'll find a 10-foot folding ladder. As we move to the very rear compartment, roll-up door once again, we're going to find inside this compartment an LED light in the upper right-hand corner, dry deck material, and LED lighting with inside this compartment. Let's go ahead and move now to the SCBA bottle storage location. As you can see, that it has 3 SCBA bottle storages here. As we move to the midsection, there is a long tool storage compartment located with dry deck material, and as we move to the forward section, you'll find 2 SCBA bottle storage locations just in front of the rear wheel. As we move to the next compartment forward, LED lighting, dry deck material, and adjustable shelving. As we move now to the cab, at all points of entry on the door panel, you'll find these warning labels as reminders for firefighters. In addition, you'll find this red grab handle to gain ease and access into the cab. You'll also find a grab handle located just above the door latch. As we move just inside the cab, you have seating in the rear for 4 seats. There are 2 rear-facing and 2 forward-facing. Underneath the rear seats, you'll find an additional step which houses also storage location underneath that step location. Located directly in the center, you'll find the access location for your daily checks for oil and transmission. Overhead, you'll find push on and off red and white lights, and also your air conditioning unit. As we move to the front officer area, you'll find on that door panel those warning labels. You'll also find on the right door hinge the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid, and at the very bottom you'll find air horn and mechanical siren foot pedals. Once again, back down to the floor level, air horn and electronic siren. Let's move now to the seat. You'll find in the very center of the seat comfort controls and also an adjustment at the bottom for forward and backward. You also have an LED spotlight located in the dash area. Moving into the door hinged area of the A-pillar, you'll find a map light. And then moving to the left, you'll find 3 barrel-style 12-volt access points. As we move now overhead, you'll find an intense reading light. Just next to that reading light is where you'll find your wireless FireCom system, and directly above that, you'll find the FireCom module to control that wireless system. As we move to the right-hand side, you'll find a set of rocker switches. We'll go over those individually, first starting with the driver's side flood, the brow light, passenger side flood, and perimeter lights. The perimeter lights are the lights that illuminate underneath the outer edges of the apparatus. This is your FireCom module. Moving to the left of this location is where you'll find your weather band radio. Moving further to the left, you'll find your EQ2B siren. And then just down from this location on a swivel, you'll find an additional siren and also your PA speaker system. Here's some close-ups of those items that we just talked about. Let's move now to the driver's area. First, at a point of entry for personnel on the door panel, you'll find those warning labels affixed to that door panel. You'll also find down in the lower area the air shutoff and air outlet. As we move also to the lower section of the door panel, when the door is in the open position and the battery is on, you'll find this flashing light indicate for safety, and then you'll also have window controls just above the door latch. Once again, this is the air shutoff and air inlet outlet chuck. As we move about the right ankle of the operator, you'll find the placard for City of Seattle, manufactured by Pierce, date of manufacture, job number, gross vehicle weight rating. You'll also find cold tire inflation, the VIN number, in addition with components, fluid capacities, and fluid types. As we move down to the floorboard, you'll find the air horn and mechanical siren foot pedals. Just to the right, you're going to find, just up from that location, you'll find the silver master battery switch, tech module, and engine transmission ABS diagnostic port. Down in the lower section, you'll find these switches and indicator, ABS diagnostic, DPF regen, engine diagnostic, and engine inhibit, and also a display port. Just up from that location, you do have a gauge here regarding your brake application. And then on the opposite side of the column is where you'll find your pump shift. You do need 2 green indicators before exiting the cab for pump operations. There are instructions here for road to pump and also from pump to road. Once again, pump engaged and OK to pump, 2 green indicators. Just up from that location, you'll find mirror control for your flat mirror and your convex mirror. As we move to the left-hand side of the column, you'll find your ignition and start switch. And at the very top, you'll find an indicator regarding a fuel restriction. Now let's move just inside of that location. Next to the column is where you'll find an EM switch, which stands for Emergency Master. Inside of that, you'll find your headlight, and next to it, you'll find a panel rocker switch, which will allow you to brighten or dim the panel lights within the driver's area. Let's go ahead and move to the opposite side of the steering column, where you'll find the OK to engage the high idle and the OK to engage high idle indicator light. In the dash, you're going to find on the left the transmission oil DEF level and water temp. On the right-hand side, you'll find volts, fuel level, front air, and rear air. Your speedometer and tachometer are located in the center. Informational diagnostic information will display above and below the 2 large instruments. Let's go ahead and move down to the center section where you'll find your Pierce Command Zone. Tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. Please see your owner's manual for more information. Below that, you'll find the set of switches. We'll talk about those in just a moment. And beneath that, you'll find your system parking brake, pull to apply, and push to release. Just to the right of that, you'll find the Allison transmission pad and also an indication to pump in drive. Let's go back to those switches now, where you'll find your engine brake on and off, settings for that engine brake for low, medium, and high, load manager, mirror heat, and a front wheel lock. Let's go ahead and look just to the right-hand side of the switch location, where you'll find your push to apply your windshield wiper fluid, and then also rotate for on and off your windshield wipers. Climate control for heat and defrost, and also AC. As we move once again just down, system parking brake, pull to apply, push to release. To the right of it, Allison transmission pad, digital readout, and also your pump in drive indicator. Back up to the upper left-hand side of the operator, you're going to find a placard, height 9 feet 7.5 inches, the length 30 feet 3 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating of 42,740 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle that might change any of these, please update this placard. As we move to the right, you'll find a set of switches regarding the Emergency Master, high beam flash, your Opticom, which is located with inside the emergency light bar, your air horn, a siren brake, which is for your mechanical siren, and then also a Neal valve switch is for the rear of the apparatus. As we move to the right, you're going to find your driver's side flood, the brow light, passenger side flood, perimeter lights, which we talked about earlier, which are the lights that light around the perimeter of the apparatus, and then also your deck lights would be up in the dunnage area. Let's go ahead and move once again further to the right. You'll find your traffic advisor. There are functions for it for left and right, split and flash. And then let's take a quick look to the very rear section of the seats located in the rear. And then we'll go ahead and move as a general view here of the seats that are rear facing. Congratulations, Seattle, on your new fire apparatus, job number 30703. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.